Welcome to John Esser Sports Channel, and we're going in with predictions for Championship Week 22. We're going to start on the Swansea versus Wrexham game. Swansea are in 19th, Wrexham are in 15th, and I remember doing these in the prediction video thinking they're going to be completely the opposite way around, guys. So, hey, who knows? So, Swansea City, lose, win, lose. And you know they are a lot lower than what I thought they would be at the beginning. They looked like they could put the ball in the net quite nicely and quite often, and then they just had a long period of dull football where they just couldn't get it in the net. As simple as that. And then they seem to get a little bit better. Recently they seem to be a bit up and down. 2 wins there are Oxford 2-0 at home and Portsmouth 1-0 at home. Remember, both of those are at home. That's the other 2 home games in there are one home game out of their last 6 games was Derby, defeat 2-1 at home. So they are actually, I think, looking like they're playing a lot better in front of their home crowd. Let's look at that game. Stoke City 2, Swansea 1, and Swansea came back in 77 minutes to get that late goal. But realistically, you look at this game, Stoke City's defence is brilliant, isn't it? That goalkeeper coming from Rotherham, of course, and he really was an absolute magician in the goal. He is actually statistically the best goalkeeper in the Championship, and I'm not surprised, guys. He really is really good. And he showed his worth here because Swansea City will be looking at this and thinking 14 shots, 6 of them on target, 1 in the net. Ouch. They really should have been doing better than that. And I tell you what, it was testimony to the goalkeeper of the defence when Swansea City laid off those shots. A third of them blocked, 4 of them blocked, 4 of them off target, 6 of them on target, and they still only managed to get 1 in the net. They did really well in defence, Stoke City. So let's take that one to the away side now and go to Wrexham. Draw, win, draw, lose, draw. And I said that there was going to be a lot of draws, and I was looking at this Wrexham-Watford game, and I did think it was going to be a draw. I thought it might be a sort of 0-0 board draw, but it wasn't. It was Wrexham 2, Watford 2. Javier Garcia on 90+6 got the red card there. This game was... look, both sides tried to keep the ball, didn't they? I mean, both sides had some amazing periods where they just tapped the ball around between each other. But I tell you what, neither of those teams, neither of them kept the ball in their own half while they were passing it around between each other. Both of them did a really good job of possession football while attacking. Far too many have been doing possession football, like Southampton. Possession football but keeping it in your own half, which doesn't really bode well for the attackers, does it? These 2 teams really did change the mould. Wrexham doing really good with 16 shots, 3 on target, 2 in the net. Okay, they would have expected more on target. They did tend to just fire the shots off. And an awful lot of them were just off target. An awful lot of them. Half of them, in fact, were off target. So, they're playing a Watford side that just didn't... 12 shots, but only 3 of them on target, mainly because Wrexham tend to play a really solid defence. They've changed that from 5 at the back, haven't they, to 5 in midfield. But they float the wingers back to try and still be able to have those 5 at the back. So they've got a very, very sturdy back line of Wrexham. So... is it going to make any difference here? Swansea versus Wrexham. What are you lot saying? Because we do go with you lot, obviously. Swansea Wrexham 2-2, 1-1, 1-2, 1-1 and 2-1. Yeah, I think Swansea's just got a little bit more edge here. And I know that front line can score. And looking at the stats in that Stoke City game where they really did do well in attack, it's just that they came up against Stoke City's goalkeeper, didn't they? I think it's going to be Swansea City 2, Wrexham 1. And we'll move on to the next game, which is Blackburn versus Millwall. So Blackburn are in 20th, Millwall are in 4th, and these 2 sides realistically, Blackburn were doing so well last season, weren't they? They had the run of the green and the run of the decisions, didn't they, from the referee a lot of that year. But this season they're not getting it, and it really does show in those results. Last 6: win, lose, draw, lose. And that last one was a surprise because Portsmouth cannot score. Yet Portsmouth came out of this game 1-0 down at the beginning in the first half. They came back in the second half. Portsmouth 2, Blackburn 1. And Portsmouth have been playing some pretty boring football. Not in this one. I mean, how on earth does this side that cannot score, cannot even shoot, let alone score, suddenly get 18 shots, 7 on target and 2 in the net? I mean, that would have been a good conversion ratio for a middle championship team. And where did it come from? They played well. They actually played well. They created some clear-cut chances, and I think that their game plan was really good. It did actually reduce Blackburn to 2 shots on target in the entire game, which, when you consider they managed to have 11 shots in total and 6 of them, more than half, off target, high and wide, you see that this Portsmouth side actually managed to confuse the hell out of the attack, as well as creating some chances themselves. Plenty of them. So Portsmouth did really well. Blackburn, I think, just got hit by the fact that they were expecting an easier ride. Millwall then, lose, win, draw, lose. And realistically, the Millwall 1, Hull 3. We really do have to look at this, don't we? Millwall won with Fernie Aziz sent off on 76 minutes, and to be quite honest, we try not to say anything about the referees here. There's good, there's bad, and there's ugly basically throughout the league in any one game week. Hull City did well. I mean, they started on 6 minutes, then they got another one on 13. I mean, it was 2-0 before 80 minutes when Millwall got that first goal, but then 88 minutes Hull City came back to make it 3-1 and seal it really in the dying embers of the game. To be quite honest here, every single thing about this game was pretty much even. Millwall had slightly better passing abilities. Their quality in passing was better. They didn't always get all the way into that final third with that passing though, and they really did depend on the fact that they got 10 shots and 6 of them on target to get that one goal. They did do well though, considering the plight they were in. I think that 76-minute red card just like mentally gave them a little bit of a downer, didn't it? And that's when after that they scored, and then the opposition scored back. I think red cards do tend to do that, even if they're for the management on the side of the pitch. I think that they can certainly give the side a bit of a, this is getting heated feeling, can't they? And here, that red card, I think, did make a difference. And if anything, that Millwall came back stronger for a little bit. Hull City saw that what they were doing, and then they suddenly doubled their efforts and kept that win with a 3-1. 10 shots, 6 on target for Millwall, 1 in the net. They'd have probably been a little bit disappointed, especially at home. Yes, I think it did make a difference, the red card. Absolutely. I can't quite judge by the short amount of replay whether it made a positive or a negative, because I think I can see the both in it. If you can comment down below what you think if you were at the game, I'd love to know. Hull City, 10 shots, 6 on target, 1 off target. Same stats for Hull City, but they win 3-1. You can see that Millwall will have been really disappointed by that one. So Blackburn versus Millwall. Then what are you saying for Blackburn Millwall? 0-2, 0-2, 0-2, 1-2 and 0-1. So you're all going for an away win, which is quite interesting. The only thing is, I'm trying to see when they really score. I mean, 3-2 win away at Southampton. they do tend to let one in. Let's go for that. I'm going to go with you again. I'm going to go Blackburn 1, Millwall 2, and we'll move on to the next game, which is Preston versus Norwich City. Preston are, of course, in 3rd position, and Norwich City in 23rd. They've actually won 4 games, which isn't actually that bad. It's just that it's very, very level down there. That's the issue, really. 1 or 2 wins, and like Sheffield United, they'd be out of it. Preston lose, draw, win, draw, draw, win, and you can see the teams at the top are losing points. Certainly are. Preston, though, have started, according to my subscribers anyway, have started to get some of those injured players back now. They are starting to get back to where they were when they were playing really, really well. Oxford 1, Preston 2. And this game was really all Oxford. It really was all Oxford. Oxford were absolutely amazing. The Preston defence were brilliant, weren't they? I mean, how on earth did they cope with Oxford? 24 shots, 8 of them on target, and only 1 in the net. You have to think that their passing was really good. Well, it was really good when put aside of Preston's. They were both sort of mediocre, but Oxford's were a good percentage better than Preston's in passing. The game itself, with clear-cut chances, not really very many. It's probably about 1 that you could really count as clear-cut, and that would have gone to Oxford. Oxford would have been absolutely kicking themselves after this. Preston really didn't. Unless if you take out the defence of Preston, then you're thinking the rest of that team didn't deserve a win. But the Preston defence really turned this one around for me. And they did a really good job. So it was a win there away at Oxford. How about Norwich City, though? They haven't been playing well, have they? Lose, draw, win, lose, draw, win. They're 2 defeats, though. Listen, I've been Birmingham away, 4-1 defeat. And then 3 games later, a Watford away defeat, 3-2. When they let goals in this Norwich side, they seem to just collapse. And that's the worry here. They seem to just not be able to. Once 1-2 go in, that's it. It seems the heads hang. I think it was Talk Sport mentioned, you could see the heads hang as soon as they got that first goal against them, and that was it. They'd lost, and it was in the early first half. So last time out, it was actually a 2-1 win at home to Southampton's. Norwich City 2, Southampton 1. Southampton did equalise, but on 57, but Norwich came back again on 61. So not too far after. To be honest, this game was pretty much controlled by Southampton. But again, it's like what I said before, a lot of that passing is in their own half. Yes, they had 12 shots, Southampton. Yes, 4 of them were on target, 1 in the net. That's probably a good ratio, but not for Southampton. Usually, if they put 4 shots on target, recently they've been getting 2 or 3 of them in the net. This time it didn't work. Norwich City seemed to know how they were going to play and seemed to just have the goal to put the right people, the right defenders in the right place at the right time. Norwich City, though, they really did 16 shots, 5 on target, 2 in the net. They were the side that were clinical this time, not Southampton, which was really, really strange. So they just happened to win this one. I think that Southampton would have been gravely disappointed that they couldn't be a lot more clinical up front. So it's Preston versus Norwich. What are you thinking here? 1-1, 2-2, 3-1, 1-0 and 2-0. So there's absolutely nobody saying that Norwich are going to win against Preston. But there's a few people thinking that Preston can nick this one. I think that Preston, the last defeat 6 games ago against Blackburn 2-1 at home, I think that they can do this one. The last 2 home games have been draws, 1-1 Wrexham and 1-1 Coventry. Remember, Coventry doing really well. They managed to get a draw there. I think they're getting better. Will Norwich score is the question. They did score twice again and were very, very clinical against Southampton. That's my issue there. I am going to go with one of you, and I'm going to go with the one that says Norwich will score. I'm going to go with Preston 3, Norwich 1. Thank you, whoever it was that gave that prediction. And we'll go on to the next game, which is Southampton versus Coventry City. So we've got Southampton in 10th, Coventry in 1st. We've just been looking at the Southampton ones, haven't we? Win, lose, win, lose. And it was the loss against Norwich. Norwich 2, Southampton 1. They really didn't, they should have done more clinically up front. This team usually is quite clinical. They lost this probably deservedly. However, they'll be kicking themselves they didn't get at least a point there. How about the Coventry team? Win, lose, draw, win. And they have been losing points. I mean, at last they've managed to lose another one and draw one. This is bad, isn't it? They really do look like running away with it. Coventry 1, Bristol 0 was the last game that we're going to go to. Coventry absolutely flooring this one. They weren't actually great on possession, not as and when you look at it aside their past games, their possession was actually really good, but not nearly as good as what it has been. Their control of the ball wasn't actually as great as it has been. 21 shots out of their 62% possession, but only 4 of them on target. 10 of them off target. That's 7, is it? Off 7, is it? Blocked? A huge number of blocked and missed chances there. Only 4 of them on target. They would have been absolutely bitterly disappointed with that one. This team can just score for fun, can't they? Let's face it, they really can. But here, Coventry 1, Bristol 0. Bristol City will have been thinking, hey, we did really well. And actually, with 15 shots, 8 of them on target out of that 38% possession, you can see that Coventry were actually letting them in because of that high back line. They were actually letting Bristol City in. Bristol knew how to break and get back and have a few shots at Coventry. 15 shots, 8 of them on target. Bristol City here would have been equally thinking, what happened in this game? This is a great one for the neutral. I mean, let's face it, was it 21 plus 15 shots in the entire game? You close your eyes, you've missed a shot. Brilliant game to watch. Superb for the neutral. The hearts of the two sides, the fans of the two sides must have been absolutely going nuts. I wouldn't have liked to have been a Bristol fan, nor a Coventry fan on that one. So what are you saying? Southampton versus Coventry. Knowing that Southampton could be very, very clinical up front, of course. Southampton Coventry 2-1, 2-3, 2-2, 1-2, 2-2. I'm going to play a joker. I think that one of you's right, and I think it's a stupid score. But I'm going to go with Southampton 2, Coventry 3. Let's go on to the next game. I told you it was going to be. I actually agreed with you. Whoever it is, you're as mad as me because we're going to go to Bristol City versus Middlesbrough. And we've just mentioned Bristol City. How unlucky were they? Bristol City in 11th, Borough in 2nd. They're only 12 points away. Bristol City, remember, in 11th to the 2nd. So it is really, really level. There's a bit of a gap at one point, isn't there, in there? But apart from that, it's extremely level. Bristol City then win, lose, draw, and lose. But that game against Coventry we've just mentioned for Bristol City, I mean, it's a huge against Coventry. Coventry 1, Bristol City 0. I'm getting ahead of myself, aren't I? Like we said, they will have been bitterly disappointed. They managed to break that defence enough to get 15 shots out of that 38% possession. That's incredible. And 8 of them on target. So they were actually really good, clear-cut chances. In fact, the only side to have clear-cut chances in this game was Bristol City. 3 very clear-cut chances, and they put none of them in the net. This side can create. He just can't get them in the net. So that's the problem that we seem to be seeing at Bristol City. And if you look at the last 6 games, yeah, there's not an awful lot of goals in them yet. You look at that. They really could do with someone to convert some of those chances, because at the minute, if they could, they'd be well up there, wouldn't they? Middlesbrough then, draw, lose, win, 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 win. 4 wins in a row. Can they make it another? Last time out it was Middlesbrough 3, QPR 1. It was 3-0 until 70 minutes when QPR got that penalty. Borough, 63% possession. This was probably the best passing performance of the game week. And to be honest, they 18 shots out of that 63%, 7 of them on target. They'd be pretty happy with that. 7 on target, 3 in the net. Yeah, this was a good day at work. Yeah, very good day at work. Happy for themselves, happy fans. 37% for QPR. 13 shots. That is not something to be frowned at. They did manage to take them on the break quite a few times. And of those 13 shots, 5 of them were allowed to be on target and 1 in the net. They did catch them, I suppose, with their pants down at times. And probably because they knew they were so far ahead in this game. But don't underestimate this QPR side. That is one thing I got from that game. Don't underestimate them. They can do well, even when it all looks completely lost. And I like a side like that. We used to be like that a few years ago, but we seem to have lost it. And it's nice to have a side you can support who never says die. So we've got that game. Bristol City Borough then. What are you saying for Bristol City versus Middlesbrough? Got to guess it's right. Bristol City versus Middlesbrough. 2-1, 2-0, 0-2, 0-1. I'm going to get... it's very, very difficult. Can Bristol City get this one and convert some of those. I think Borough are just on a roll at the minute, and 4 goals scored. 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 goals scored in 4 games. They're really flying. I can't see Bristol. Look, I think Bristol City will turn it around and start scoring. I just don't think it's going to be here. Bristol City 1, Borough 2. Let's just accept that one and we'll move on to the next game, which is... we go away from the Bristol City Borough one. It's Charlton versus Oxford next. Now, Charlton versus Oxford. Look at the table quickly. Charlton in 17th, Oxford in 22nd. And, Charlton have just been finding it a little bit difficult. But let's see who they've played in their last 6 games, because it's lose, 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 lose and draw. But listen to who Charlton have played. And I did this in a review of who they were playing when. It's Wrexham, Southampton, Stoke, Coventry, Middlesbrough, and then Birmingham. The only point they got last time out was against Birmingham. You can see how they've been playing a torrid 6 games, or certainly 5 out of those 6. They'll be thinking, we'll be lucky to get even a goal, let alone a draw out of that lot. It was Birmingham 1, Charlton 1. Charlton coming back on 67 minutes, not 68. And they scored from their only shot on target. They really did. Birmingham really did push them here. 62% possession, 24 shots, 5 of them on target. A little bit few for me. 9 of them off target, so that's a hell of a lot blocked, isn't it? That's 10 shots blocked out of the 24. You could they're going on for if you counted some of the others, you could probably say they had almost half of the shots blocked. Birmingham were being bitterly disappointed that they didn't get a win here. However, Charlton really did. They stuck to their guns. Look, their passing wasn't great, their possession wasn't great, but they seem to have a belief about them that they could get through this game. They could get back into it. That never say die attitude that I love about a team, and that's what they had in this game, if nothing else. Yes, they didn't. They didn't deserve a draw. But hey, Birmingham really didn't try enough to keep that lead, did they? I think they sat back a little bit too much at the end of the day. What do you think? Give me a like and a subscribe. Tell me down below. Oxford then, draw, win, lose, draw, lose. Last time out, it was Oxford 1, Preston 2. We did, of course, look at this one. And Oxford really, for me, 2 shots on target. Well, 8 shots on target, 1 in the net, 24 shots. They really should have got something from this one. They were kicking themselves. I've already covered it. Oxford would have been kicking themselves on that one. Preston, another a lose, draw, lose out of the last 3, and that should have been a win. It should have been a lose, draw, win, which is then getting you into the statistics of being somewhere just above that bottom 3, which is obviously where they want to be. So what are you saying about Charlton versus Oxford? 1-0, 3-0, 2-1, 1-0 and 2-0. You see, both of these sides for me are just not getting the run of the green. They're not. Charlton not getting the run of the green because they're playing the best teams. Charlton will be coming out of this, I think, better, thinking, right, that's 5 out of the last 6 games that have been unwinnable. Let's see what we can do. Well, Wrexham included, I suppose. But we would have expected to have lost at least 4 or 5 of those last 6 games. We lost 5 of them. Let's just look forward, shall we? And I think that's what the manager's trying to say at Charlton. Will it work? Well, there's not many goals coming, is there? I know they're playing good sides, but taking them on the break, they haven't been doing that either. So I'm a little bit worried about where they're going to get goals from. I think, what are you saying? 1-0, 3-0, 2-1, 1-0, 2-0. I'll take the majority. I'm going to go with Charlton 1, Oxford 0, purely out of the majority that you are saying. And we move on to the next game. And the next game is Derby County versus Portsmouth. Now, Derby County are in a nice safe 12th, but they have been showing they can score. And I saw that front end right at the beginning of the season. I'm thinking they could fire a pretty good number of goals in this season. And Portsmouth are in 21st, just out of that line there. And actually, just as I say that, we get a flash of the Bristol City Millwall charged. Robbins, Williams, Cormick and McCrory, as well as Millwall's Coleman and Livermore, have all been charged. There we are. That's news as we go through the Derby Portsmouth game. So Portsmouth, not having a great time, not being able to put the ball in the back of the net. So Derby lose, win, lose, draw and win. The last time out, though, it was a win for Derby County, but it was Sheffield Wednesday 0, Derby County 3. For me, this game didn't really get to grips until the second half. And even then, Sheffield Wednesday posed very little in the line of anything up front. They kept the ball, they kept it in the final third, in their own third, in their own defence. Managed 3 shots, 1 of them on target, obviously none in the net. And yet Derby County couldn't get the ball. When they did get the ball, they managed to get a fair few shots, 15 shots, 7 of them on target, 3 in the net. It was just Sheffield Wednesday trying to hassle them by keeping the ball and just frustrate the hell out of them. They did frustrate Derby. It did look like they were a frustrated team, but they got the heads down and they managed to get a fair few shots out of that 40%. Derby County fans will be, I'm sure, quite proud of their team. Could they have won by more? Well, no, because Sheffield Wednesday kept the ball. They just did. And why take it off them when you're going to get 3 points? There's no point. There really isn't. So Portsmouth lose, win, lose, and win. Surprise win for me. Portsmouth 2, Blackburn 1. Portsmouth coming back to win this one after being 1-0 down on 36. And through goals from Lang on 62 and Boat on 79. And this was, I think, certainly a game of two halves. And Portsmouth came back in that second half and started to think, if we're going to get out of this, we are going to have to play good football and work with each other and try and get goals from somewhere, because we don't really have anyone putting it in the net. And this time that name Callum Lang did come up and score. So are they turning a corner? 18 shots for Portsmouth, 7 of them on target, 2 in the net. This was a better performance, at least in the second half from Portsmouth. I think the Portsmouth fans were quite shocked at this. It is where I live. So the ones I've been speaking to, where did the second half come from? I hope we get more of them. Blackburn, on the other hand, they didn't do well enough when they had that good first half. 11 shots, 2 of them on target, 1 in the net. And I think realistically, they were lucky to get that 1 in the net. Although both teams did have a couple of shots that were open net chances. So both teams had at least 2 good open goal chances. So Derby versus Portsmouth then. Portsmouth with that Blackburn win. What are you saying, Derby? Portsmouth 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-1 and 3-1. Right, now I can't see much difference between these two sides. I'm wanting to put a draw. You're not giving me a chance for draw. I'm actually going to go away from you two. I'm going to go from, all of you. I'm going to go with my own score. I'm actually going to go with Derby 1, Portsmouth 1. And we'll continue. And we continue, if my camera stops messing around, with Hull City in 6th place and West Brom in 16th. So Hull City versus West Brom. And West Brom have dropped, haven't they? I did think they'd be down there. That is about where I put them in my prediction video, if you want to see it. It wasn't where I put Hull City. Absolutely not. With an embargo on, they seem to have done really, really well, don't they? Let's have a look at stats then for Hull City. Lose, win, win. Last time out, a Millwall win. It was Millwall 1, Hull City 3. Millwall did have Aziz sent off on 76 minutes. I'm just sort of wondering. I wonder if any Millwall fans want to mention that one in the comments. The game, though, was, as I said before, really, it was actually quite an even game. It really was an even game. The only difference was that Millwall kept the ball an awful lot of time here and really did make sure they kept it quite consistently. So, apart from that, it was sort of like an even game. Hull City were the away side here. 10 shots, 6 on target, 3 in the net. And 1 off target, right? 10, 6, 1. Millwall, 10 shots, 6 on target, 1 off target. Exactly the same figures, but their 6 on target gave them 1 goal. So that is the only difference here. That really is the only difference. So Millwall, they're coming away feeling a bit aggrieved, I think. West Brom now. Lose, draw, win. Lose, win. And once again, they've lost in that last 6 against Coventry, drawn against Birmingham, lost against Southampton 3-2. And the last game, though, against a really high-flying Sheffield United, guess what? It's a West Brom 2, Sheffield United 0. And I really didn't think this one was going to be it. However, they did manage to win it, and probably quite reasonably so. It was one of those games, where you watch it and you realise that there are 2 teams playing here. Sheffield United played well, West Brom played well. I think Sheffield United on the whole played slightly better as far as passing was concerned. And I'd probably be saying that that West Brom played slightly better as far as getting the actual clear-cut chances, getting the ball into that net and actually having an open shot on goal. It is actually, when you look at it, you think West Brom 2, Sheffield United 0. You can't really tell how West Brom won it. The better passing was Sheffield United, like I say. 16 shots for West Brom, 5 on target, 2 in the net. Sheffield United, who have been getting quite clinical up front, 11 shots on target, 11 shots, 3 on target, none in the net. This wasn't the Sheffield United side I've seen in previous 2 or 3 games. This was a different Sheffield United side. Please do tell me what on earth happened in this game, because I didn't expect West Brom to get anything from it. They won it deservedly so at the end of the day. And after 2 defeats against QPR and Southampton, that was a well-earned win, I think, for West Brom, who needed the points. So what are you thinking? West Brom versus Hull City versus West Brom. I'll get it the right way around. Hull City, West Brom, 2-2, 2-2, 3-0, 2-2 and 2-1. Guess what? I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to have to go Hull City 2, West Brom 2. I think both of these sides have had a bit of a mixed bag in the last 6, haven't they? Who's going to turn up? Will one not turn up? Let's wait and see. So we go on to Ipswich versus Sheffield Wednesday. Ipswich in 5th, and I said they were rocketing up, didn't they? And they have been very clinical so far. Let's see what they've been in the last game. Sheffield Wednesday in 24th, -9 at the minute. Ipswich then win, lose, draw, win, win, lose. It was that game, wasn't it? And I didn't see any difference between these 2 teams before the game. Leicester City 3, Ipswich 1. I really didn't see this one coming. To me, it was wrapped up before half-time, but certainly when it was 3-0 just after half-time, it really was wrapped up, wasn't it? And having said that, it was just purely the fact that Leicester City, when they did allow Ipswich to have the ball, and they did let them get into that final third, 13 shots for Ipswich, but they only allowed them 2 of them on target, and they only had 1 clear-cut chance. So Ipswich were controlled very, very, very well by this Leicester City side. And if you like, they were allowed to keep the ball. They had a huge number of passes, mainly in their own, mainly in the first sort of 55-60% of the pitch. So mainly in their own half, slightly over that halfway line sometimes. But they getting into the final third was really a case of just bursting into that final, get over the halfway line, burst into that final third, have a quick shot. Only 2 of those 13 on target, and 2 on target, 1 in the net. That's how clinical they've been. So yeah, I agree with that bit. That stacks up. Leicester City though, 4 shots, 3 on target. Again, like I said, both these teams are bloody clinical. Give them a shot on goal, most of them are going in the net. And they did. Between them, 6 shots and 4 goals. Just what I expected. I just didn't expect it. 3-1. So what was the other team? We've got Sheffield Wednesday, of course. Lose, 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 draw, lose. Last time out, it was a Derby County defeat. So it was Sheffield Wednesday 0, Derby County 3. This is the game we mentioned earlier where Derby County, for me, Sheffield Wednesday controlled the ball, kept it away from Derby County, hoping that this would make a difference. But Wednesday actually only had 3 shots, 1 of them on target, none in the net. They still allowed Derby to have 15 shots, 7 of which were on target and 3 in the net. Derby County on a different day would have got probably 3 or 4 more. No, probably got about 4-0, I should think. I don't think much more than that. I think 3-4-0 would have been about right, wouldn't it? So I think it was a tough game for Sheffield Wednesday. They tried to keep the ball and play good passing football. But that's okay as long as you get it out your own half, guys. That's all we can really say. Ipswich versus Sheffield Wednesday. Then what are you saying? 2-1, 2-1, 3-0, 4-0 and 5-0. Right, okay, I can see where you're all coming from. However, Ipswich, yeah, they are very, very clinical if you give them the chance. And Sheffield Wednesday did give Derby a hell of a lot of chances. I don't think Ipswich will want to absolutely slaughter them. I think they'll just want to get the 3 points and get out of there. However, I'm going to go with one of you. I'm going to go with one of those high scores. I'm going to go with Ipswich 4, Sheffield Wednesday 0. And we'll move on to the next game, which is QPR versus Leicester City. Now, obviously, we've just talked about both of these games, so we'll be able to go nice and quick through them. For QPR, let's have a look at the table first, shall we? QPR in 9th, Leicester City in 8th, both on 31 points. Pretty much 7 draws for Leicester, 4 draws for QPR, and they're on the same point, so just think about that. QPR win, lose. The last time out for QPR, it was the Borough 3, QPR 1 game. Of course, like I said, QPR will be a little disappointed they only got 1, I think. They perhaps should have done more with what the shots they got. 13 shots, 5 on target, 1 in the net. 3-1 was a bit harsh for them. However, they did allow Borough to run the game with 63% possession. Obviously, they were away at Borough, so let's see what they do at home against the Leicester City side that have been really clinical up front. Especially against Ipswich in the last game. Win, lose, win, draw, win, draw, win. It was the Ipswich game 3-1, and they really did manage to control this game just enough, didn't they? Like we've just said, we've just been through all the stats. We don't need to go through those. Ipswich then losing to Leicester City. Leicester really 4 shots, 3 on target. 4 shots on target, 3 in the net. Ipswich 2 on target, 1 in the net. Simple as that, really, in this game. Both teams were really, really good. Leicester City's passing wasn't quite as slick, I must admit. Wasn't quite as slick as Ipswich's. Perhaps something to note there as we go for QPR versus Leicester City. What are you thinking for that game? 1-0, 1-3, 2-1, 0-2 and 1-2. This QPR side has been getting some good results. A win at home to Hull, a win away to Blackburn, a win at home to West Brom, 3-1, a win at home to Birmingham, 2-1. And that 3-1 defeat to Borough last time really shouldn't have been 3-1. I'm surprised it wants at least 3-2, if not 3-3. So I find it hard to think that QPR won't score. I think that QPR versus Leicester, I think QPR will score. I don't think they'll get a 0. Will Leicester just tip it for me? I think that it really is in the hands of Leicester, isn't it, here? If they turn up as they did last time, I think that this could be a QPR 1, Leicester City 2. Where do we go to next? Sheffield United. We're going to Bramall Lane. So Sheffield United versus Birmingham. And Sheffield United, I said probably the game after they'd started to lift up off the bottom, that they looked like they were going to get off bottom and stay there, stay off the bottom. It's Sheffield United in 18th, Birmingham in 13th, and Birmingham keep getting very, very close to that bottom 8, don't they? And thinking, we're getting a bit close here, guys. Sheffield United win, draw, lose against West Brom. West Brom 2, Sheffield United 0. And West Brom really came back in the second half here. Sheffield United played a really good first half. But 11 shots for Sheffield United, 3 on target, none in the net. This wasn't the clinical good team that I've seen in the last couple of games. Certainly wasn't for Sheffield United. West Brom, though, turned up 16 shots, 5 on target, 2 in the net. And although Sheffield United, again, and they've been guilty of this a few times, keeping the ball, playing it in their own half, but not doing anything with it. And a few times, especially in the second half, I think, Sheffield United just tried to keep it and just failed. Keeping it in your own half's great, but when you lose it in your own half, it's very dangerous. So that was that game. So we're going with the Birmingham side then, shall we? Win, draw, win, lose, lose, draw. The last time out, it was the Birmingham 1, Charlton 1 game. And Birmingham really ran this. This is the one where Birmingham really ran it, and they really did run it. They had they were well better on passing, well better on. 62% possession. They kept it well. They passed it well. 24 shots, but only 5 of them on target and 1 in the net. Birmingham here. Excuse me with the itchy nose. Birmingham should have been. They should have made this at least 3-4-1 at least. Charlton 1 shot on target, 1 in the net. It should have been 3 or 4-0 this game, not 1-1. Birmingham furious that they didn't win this one, and they're playing obviously a Sheffield United side that at the minute is, I think, still flying, even though they had that blip in the last game. So, Sheffield United versus Birmingham, what are you saying? 3-1, 3-2, 0-1, 1-2 and 2-0. Now, I can see that that Birmingham here are doing well. It's just that they just don't. The Southampton game, Southampton weirdly controlled that one too much for me. I can see this Birmingham side is needing to get... To just stay up there, I think, and away from that bottom lot. And Sheffield United, a little bit of confidence, a lot more confidence than I think Birmingham have. So the confidence for me is with the Sheffield United side. I think this could be quite interesting. 3-1, 3-2, 0-1, 1-2 and 2-0 really doesn't give me much. Really, really difficult. They only drew 1-1 Sheffield United at home to Norwich, which is sort of giving me a bit of a... I'm going to go with that. Strangely enough, I'm going to agree with somebody. Sheffield United 0, Birmingham 1. And I'm going to go quickly to Watford Stoke, because I think that might put a cat amongst the pigeons. Hey, that's one of your lots of suggestions, not just mine. Watford versus Stoke, and we've only gone with one of my suggestions so far. Watford are in 14th, Stoke City 7th, and Stoke City are doing well, especially their championship winning goalkeeper at the minute, the top goalkeeper in the league apparently. Watford then win, draw, lose, win, draw, draw. Wrexham 2, Watford 2. Javier Garcia off on red carded 90 plus 6. This game, we expected Watford to be able to break this Wrexham side down. At the end of the day, they didn't. They were. It was Ollie Rathbone, a name from the past for us, that scored the equaliser on 90 plus 2 minutes. So he can do things like that, can't he? But this Wrexham side for me were pretty much equal. The everything in this game was equal. It was a good end-to-end game. Plenty of shots, 16 for Wrexham, 3 on target, 2 in the net. Watford, 12 on target, 12 at the goal, 3 on target, 2 in the net. Both 3 on target, both 2 in the net. It was probably fair to be a 2-2 game, to be quite honest. A lot more even than what I expected. Stoke City, lose, win, lose, 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 and win. And if you remember, actually, if we go back, the best goalkeeper in the division, let's just go Sheffield United away, 4-0. Stoke City lost. Sheffield United 4, Stoke City 0. They do have the best goalkeeper in the division. I am assured that the stats are correct. Although that doesn't really do it. Stoke City 2, Swansea 1. Let's have a look at that game then. Now, you've got to remember Stoke City allowed Swansea into their half far too many times. 14 shots for Swansea City, 6 of them on target, 1 in the net. I would say that defence for me is just a little bit waning in the last couple of games. And that's Sheffield United 4-0 defeat. Also sort of shows me that it's not quite working as well as it did at the beginning. Yes, overall statistics can lie just a little bit, can't they? Stoke City, though, 8 shots, 5 on target, 2 in the net, and they win it. Did they deserve it? Probably not. Most of the clear-cut chances coming for Swansea. Better passing by Swansea, better possession by Swansea, most shots by Swansea, most shots on target by Swansea. Who wins the game? Stoke City. I mean, that is it in a nutshell, isn't it, guys? As we go Watford versus Stoke City. What are you saying? 0-1, 1-0, 1-1, 3-0 and 2-2. At the minute I can see Watford scoring. I can see Watford scoring more than 1. I can't see Stoke City scoring more than 1. You're saying 0-1, 1-0, 1-1, 3-0 and 2-2. I'm going to have to go with that one, which is Watford 1, Stoke City 0. Thank you for watching. Do like, do subscribe, and give me your comments down below. Remember, John Esther Sports Channel, like and subscribe.